And by the way, what good does a promise of a Senate vote even do for you, Democrats? You don't control the Senate. Do you even know how it works? By the way, tonight's show will be brought to you by I Can't F***ing Believe It.
The recent events with the Democrats and the government shutdown are a prime example of a party that talks a big game but trips over its own shoelaces when the heat turns up. The whole situation unfolded like a badly written political sitcom, but this time, the punchline was anything but funny. It was downright embarrassing. You're allowed to shake your head if you already are. The political circus isn't ending anytime soon, so hit that like and subscribe button now so you don't miss the next collapse. Let's bring it back to the present. Stewart, who isn't exactly known for lighting his own team on fire, set the Democrats ablaze the moment he started his show. No sugarcoating, no polite criticisms hidden in niceties. He swung hard and fast, calling their justifications inadequate, their performance lacking, and even questioning their grasp of how the Senate actually works. And honestly, that's a fair question given how they handled this shutdown. Remember, the same group had promised to fight to the very end just last month, strutting around like they were storming a beach with courage and chess moves in hand. But then, as if by magic, Schumer suddenly abandoned the notorious no effing way line and tried to rally the base. A few days later, all that fire, all that hubris, and all those grandiose promises had vanished into thin air.
What, you ask, is it? Well, it is the Democrats. You remember the Democrats? They shut down the government last month. Charles Schumer's 3 words were no match for these 5 other words.
Democrats cave on the shutdown.
Excuse me? Cave on the shutdown?
What started as a bold pledge quickly turned into a gentle retreat. Their determination wouldn't have melted like cheap ice cream in sunlight if only they had held fast. Stewart was right to call out the absurdity of the entire situation. For a brief moment, they roared with fire. The next, they waved a white flag so quickly it was like a political magic trick. Conviction appeared real, then it vanished. But if you've been following this party long enough, it's no surprise. When a party relies more on moral performance than substance, this is exactly what happens. They crave cameras, declarations excite them, speeches crafted to go viral on Twitter are their favorite stage. Yet, when it comes to backing up those theatrics with real action, everything falls apart. Values guide them until authority is truly at risk, and then the atmosphere shifts. After mocking Schumer's macho bravado and going straight for the jugular,
This forceful, young, authentic Democratic Party that hangs out down by the river and curses in what appears to be a cerulean blue blaze. 7 Democratic senators and voted with their Republican counterparts to end the shutdown and reopen the government. And did they get their extended health care subsidy?
Stewart quickly passed out from disbelief, and it's hard to blame him. The spectacle was almost too absurd to believe. It was almost enough to make you forget the stakes as Schumer went from ferocious combatant to weary father in record time. And here's the kicker. 7 Democratic senators, together with Republicans, voted to end the shutdown. What did they get in return? Greater support for healthcare? Not even close. All they received was the political equivalent of "we'll talk about it later," a vague promise that maybe, just maybe, their requests would be addressed if the stars aligned and the wind blew right. There was no room for compromise. This wasn't strategy, it was surrender, thinly disguised as responsible governance. Anyway,
I don't believe it! You had the wind at your back. Election victories all over the country. The new Sydney Sweeney movie, box office bupkis. I got it. Sun Tzu said, never press your advantage. It's unseemly.
With a functioning brain could see it. Stewart was genuinely stunned, as if someone had just told him that gravity was negotiable. But the surprise shouldn't have been so great. The pattern is predictable. Democrats muster a show of courage to shout into a microphone, only to give in under pressure. The discomfort of watching this play out is almost unbearable. In politics, folding a hand when you're holding a royal flush is almost unimaginable. Stewart had to point that out, and honestly, who could argue? The idea that a party would give up such a powerful advantage for nothing is absurd. They vowed to fight tooth and nail as the shutdown began.
This guy gets it. Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine. You don't see him as one of the 8 voting yes.
Virginia Senator Tim Kaine was a yes.
I can't believe it.
Weeks later, they were left with nothing. No compromises, no subsidies, not even a symbolic victory. All they had was a vague promise and a mountain of embarrassment. Naturally, Stewart couldn't resist joking about the strategy since it defied the most basic principle of pressing your advantage. What were they thinking? It's a fair question. Giving up when you hold the stronger hand is downright illogical, and yet that's exactly what happened. A party that claimed to champion ideas ended up trading them away for nothing. They looked cowardly, they looked confused.
You sold out the entire shutdown not to get what you wanted, but for a promise to not get what you wanted later. Where in the art of war?
They seemed deeply insecure, as if last year's election losses had shaken them more than anyone expected. Stewart's focus on the obvious only amplified the point. If you don't even control the Senate, what's the point of a vote pledge? Did no one remind them that even after winning that crucial vote, they still needed to pass both the House and the president? For Schumer, let's imagine he actually managed to secure a Senate vote, something that hadn't happened all year. What happens then? Do you know? Bear with me. Who's in the White House at that point? The answer makes the whole effort feel almost meaningless. Even if the Senate approves, it's just a step in a long chain. This is the same man who called Obamacare a catastrophe for years. Do you really think he'll sign this measure? Take a moment to consider that the Senate's approval, achieved despite the odds, is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Next comes the House, an obstacle entirely out of their control. And if they somehow cleared that hurdle, it would land on.
By the way, what good does a promise of a Senate vote even do for you, Democrats? You don't control. Do you even know how it works?
Trump's desk. That's where the dream abruptly, violently, and predictably ends. So what were they really fighting for? A symbolic gesture, a promise of a possible future conversation. It's almost unbelievable. Maybe they looked at all the options and concluded they were doomed no matter what. We're going to cave eventually. They might have thought, might as well give up now, but that isn't strategy. That press announcement is nothing but defeatism. Stewart made another sharp point. Republicans are still masters of pressure. They excel at cornering opponents and can politically destroy someone if they choose. And here, they had a clean victory. The Democrats folded under GOP pressure, giving Republicans even more leverage moving forward. It was clear that Democratic leadership treated the whole event as little more than a symbolic gesture, paying more attention to appearances than actual substance. For them, the show mattered more than the outcome, and the results speak for themselves. Stewart even called out the senators who seemed strong at first but quickly crumbled. When it came time to vote, figures like Tim Kaine and Jeanne Shaheen were thought to be steadfast voices, but their courage evaporated in an instant. That's the core issue. A party that talks endlessly about ideals but rarely acts on them. Many of these senators hail from deep blue strongholds where victory is routine. That's maintenance, not momentum. Outside their...
You say, for Schnicks, that you managed to win a vote in the Senate, like you haven't done all year. Do you know what happens then? I mean, hold on 1 second. Give me the thing. I want to show you. I'm just up here. Democrats, you gave up the only leverage you had without getting commitments from Trump or Mike Johnson. I cannot believe it.
Safe districts, their influence is waning. Stewart's takedown hit so hard because it exposed this truth. It wasn't just mockery, it was a clear warning. The Democrats surrendered to an unnecessary shutdown, showing glaring weaknesses in strategy, confidence, and leadership, while handing Republicans easy leverage. If Democrats don't rediscover real backbone, stop confusing noise for power, quit performing for the cameras, and start actually governing, they will lose more elections. Voters notice who stands firm and who folds. That person, the one who persists, has a steady moral compass. Jeanne Shaheen voted in favor. She made a choice to act. Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Were the Democrats weak or simply realistic? This is sure to spark debate, so share your opinions in the comments. That's where we'll leave it. The political drama is far from over, so hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next breakdown. I'll be here to guide you through it all. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one.